A crossbow that hits a deer can be effective for many yards, but a crossbow that misses a deer can travel for hundreds of yards. I've seen as far as 500, but let's just say 100 or 200. That's practically half of a block. That's an arrow flying through the air in a neighborhood. I think that's high risk, and again, I don't think the risk benefits the reward. I don't think the upside is worth the downside. I've also, it's my understanding that a crossbow is not an effective way to kill a deer. At least it's not an instant kill. I think we better be ready to see deer running through the neighborhood with an arrow in it. Arrows usually work, depending on what, if you read about it, it tells you how to find out if your arrow was effective. Did it hit a lung? Did it hit an organ? You can tell by the type of blood trail it leaves. You'll have to chase down the deer. It may bleed out. It may go into shock. It's not an instant kill, and I don't think we want to see that in the neighborhood. I personally live on property that abuts Crystal Lake, and I see deer every day. And I'm very concerned that someone will be back there shooting a deer and putting me and my family at risk in the backyard.
As an archery owner myself, I can say that an archery program can be introduced effectively. I hunt with the crossbow, I hunt with the longbow, and I understand the risks that are involved with it. Here in the village, there's obviously a large population of deer. It results in deforestation, lower plant diversity within the forest, lower food sources available for these deer, increased risk of disease transmission, including chronic wasting disease, Lyme disease, and PhD, all of which can be fatal to deer and can pose risks to the people within the village. There's no doubt in my mind that the population of deer within the village is an unhealthy number. It's honestly not fair to the deer population to have them in such large quantities in such a small area. Both to the yearlings, the fawns, and the adults that have been here for quite a while. I realize that there are a lot of different programs involved with deer management, contraceptive, sterilization, relocation, as well as hunting programs. There's plenty of studies out there that anyone can read as far as the costs, effectiveness, and all of that are concerned. I did read in the paper that someone had brought up the idea of contraceptives, as well as sterilization. Those projects can cost anywhere from $300 to $1,000 per deer, and the results are not conclusive as to how effective they are. The reason why is deer are constantly moving, ranging. The deer you see in your backyard yesterday might be over here on the other side of 59 the next day, and vice versa. So it's really hard to get a true number of, one, how many deer there are and how many deer need to be properly managed within an area.
I spend $200 to $400 a year on annuals, not perennials, but on annuals alone. And I plant them the end of May, the beginning of June, and by the beginning of July, they're gone. They're just little stalks. And every year I try to find a variety that the deer may not prefer, but I still haven't found that. When we moved to our home 28 or 9 years ago, there were beautiful hosta all over. We have none now because the deer seem to favor those. The bushes that I have bought that are perennials, I have had a $160 holly bush that, if you know about holly, they're evergreens. It should be in beautiful leaf now. Has 7 leaves. I counted them yesterday. The rest are just twigs, and it has been diminished in size by about 70%. Hydrangeas, but the thing that worries me more than the economic impact, which hurts financially, is the safety issue. I am not the only person to have had a dead deer in my garden, but I believe I was the first. And the spot where that deer lay, 2 years later, nothing grew. And if it weren't for the efforts of the service department and the police chief helping me find a way to get rid of that deer, I would be staring at its carcass today. Because there is not a pest control person in Summit County that does anything, takes care of anything larger than a raccoon. So if you have a dead deer in your yard, the problem is yours, and it is a significant problem considering they weigh a couple hundred pounds apiece, certainly more than I can deal with. was 105 degrees when that deer died. It swelled up tremendously, and the odor was so bad that even with all our windows closed, it permeated our whole house. You can't tell me that something like that doesn't have inherent risks associated with it, because something that is decaying, of course, is full of bacteria and will draw other pestilence to its presence because it is decaying.